today we're
Yes.
going to talk, I think, a little bit about canvases, business canvases.
Yeah.
Shall I kickstart us into setting a little bit of a scene? And actually, because
You're
this is
you're
your
the
idea.
you're the boy on the block. Like this is your thing at the moment.
Give up. Oh, yeah, okay.
Spencer, the man who knows about business model canvases. Yes, please do. Please give us an explainer for those people who have not been tracking your meteoric rise in terms of content creation recently.
It's been a lot of fun. The last couple of weeks has been really. I've been planning to do a couple of business model breakdowns using Strategizer's business model canvas for quite a while, but about other companies that I'm personally quite interested in, that are kind of in my world of innovation and consulting and design sprints and whatever. And finally got my ass into gear to kind of finish and publish them. And they've gone down really well. Like, the number of views have been pretty good in comparison to most of the videos that I make. But more than that, it's generated some amazing conversations, both on social channels, but also taking those into actual real words with people. Okay, through a screen still, obviously, because I don't like to be in the same room or in the presence of real people. That kind of freaks me out.
You're like Peter Stringfellow. You don't leave your nightclub, do you? You just exist in that nightclub world.
Okay, I wouldn't know where that was going, but I mean,
yeah, I mean that, and I mean I've seen the leopard skin print thong. Like, you're just peas in a pod. You really are.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, it's gone really well. So this has been really interesting, and actually a lot of conversation has been around like when to use it, when to use something like a business model canvas. A lot of people have been talking actually about kind of knowing about it, but not seeing it used in this way. And it kind of made me think about, and like if there's something about how we can help people to use it in a good way. And also, I think there's this, and I actually filmed this for the video, but I didn't have the guts to put it in, or the latest video, because I did a business model canvas about Strategizer. And then I maybe overly critiqued their main thing, like, that they've ever done. Well, not main thing, like one of the biggest tools and things that they've ever done, which is the business model canvas. I've overly critiqued it. But
Did you get told off by Alex?
No, I didn't. Although I did speak to Alex, at least through LinkedIn, about the video. He seemed to like it, and he gave me some really good feedback. So that was amazing. And one of the reasons I did this is
just to interrupt. Sorry, to put that into context. Speak for innovators.
I'm going fast.
That's a little bit like talking to Ronaldo or like Father Christmas. Total fangirl. And
for me as well, like one of the leading thinkers in innovation and business design in the world, literally. Like, not only did he write the book, he's written 5 books about this stuff, right? And and to have him watch the video, give me some feedback, both about the business model canvas, but also about what my assumptions were about their business, was just incredible, absolutely amazing. So that's what I mean. Like, the numbers were fine, it's good, but like, it wasn't about that. It was about having the conversations, and the fact that Alex Osterwalder, and in the other one that I did, which was about AJ and Smart, Jonathan Courtney, the CEO and founder of AJ and Smart, also shared it, liked it, absolutely loved it. And so I'm just thrilled with that reception.
I once won a Strategizer quiz, and almost won a Strategizer quiz. I fell at the final hurdle, and Alex took pity on me and sent me some Swiss chocolates, which I still have down like a foot away from me, that I've still never opened, because they were sent to me and they're my special, like, Alex Alex chocolates.
I mean, they're going to go off at some point.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I'm like that little kid who's like, someone signed something, and I'm like, I'm going to keep it forever.
Alex, if you're watching, please send something else so that Bex can eat those chocolates.
Not at all creepy, is it?
I mean, I think we should dig into that a bit further. Forget this other thing we were going to do.
Now's not the time for a therapy session.
Enough of that last week, I felt.
Yes, definitely.
So here's a thing, right? I think there's this weird curve with the business model canvas and people's understanding and use of the business model canvas. I think so many people, it's probably one of the most known tools in business now for getting kind of started with new business ventures.
Yeah,
It's up there, right? And it's a thing that people just know, but I don't think people really know how they can use it and how to get the best out of it. And I think there's this weird adoption curve or like usage or knowledge curve about it. I think to start with, people think, oh, that looks super simple. There's 9 questions, there's 9 boxes. I'm going to be able to do that easily. I might even use it with my business, or I might use it in coaching calls, or I might use it to help clients innovate, whatever. And then when they're using it, one of my notes just dropped.
I was going to say, I have a small dog in the background trying to get in.
Do you want to let
it's
the
going
dog
well
in?
today, isn't it? This isn't our slickest thing, Alex. If you are watching, we're normally a little bit more polished. I mean, only like ever so slightly more polished, minuscule, but yeah.
But where was I before these ones are going to go
Sorry,
as well.
yes.
So let me just take those post-its down too, just in case. So I think that it's the most known, but not least used, but just not used effectively tool. And I
Okay.
think that this curve goes, this is really easy. It's 9 boxes. We'll smash this out. Totally got it. People use it and then they go, oh shit, what's that mean? Oh, what does this actually, what am I really supposed to put in this box? And they're trying to figure out things. They're trying to second guess stuff. They're not letting themselves kind of just go with it. Sometimes people think that this is like how it is. Like this is when we put it onto paper, this is like the definitive truth. And they kind of
Yeah.
miss the fact that this is really, or one of the ways of using it is to plot what could be, to essentially get all of the assumptions out of your head about what a business or a new venture or a new idea could be. And it's kind of basically hypotheses. And then they go through this like trough of like, this is shit. Like, I don't get why I need to do this. I'm going to use something else. There's got to be better tools. It's old now, whatever. And then what some people do, and I think it's a really small number of people, genuinely, is that they keep persevering and then they come out going like fully enlightened and going, shit, it all just makes sense. And now I can use it in this way and I can use it in this way and I can use it in this way. And I don't know, like maybe that's a really harsh thing to say, but that's kind of how I'm seeing it, or how I see other people going through those difficult situations of like, I thought it was going to be great and it's not. It doesn't work for them. What are your thoughts?
I mean, we come from different, I tend to work with startups, don't I? So it's all sort of vapor stage. They might be developing new products, expanding things, but actually it's still that it's in the ether. Is it a thing, etc.? Whereas you tend to work with more established businesses. So for me, I very much use it as a tool to capture the information so people can have constructive conversations. There's lots of people talking to, whether we're talking to investors or mentors, or it could be anybody, getting user panel people on side, that kind of thing. They need that information to hand and they need to collate it, and they need a really easy, flexible way of doing that. And I'll be honest with you, I tend to use the lean canvas more.
Shh.
Sorry, Alex.
Shh. How dare you?
I'm
Alex. It's not true. It's just a publication.
I mean, I'm not totally team Ash. No, so we, as a lean startup practitioner, I tend to follow. I use that tool a lot. I use the lean canvas a lot. And to be fair, Ash Moria took the business model canvas and iterated on it and made it easier for startups to use. And I think it's really key for a number of reasons. You can do it from different perspectives, to understand the problems at hand and what people really need from your product. But also, what does your business look like? Like, what are your costs? How are you going to sell it? What are you going to track? All that kind of important stuff that is just on one page. No one wants to read a 30-page business model, plan, whatever, like Yawn
Right.
City. People aren't interested. And to be fair, you might write the thing and be like, brilliant, I've written it. And then I can guarantee you, you will not want to iterate it. You'll not want to change it. And that's one of the beauties of these canvases. They're ultimately flexible and they're living documents. And so a startup going through their discovery phases, first year, whatever it may be, it's just a really simple thing to keep up to date. So anytime they're talking to somebody who's potentially helpful them in any capacity, they can just sit down and talk it through. Really, really simple. Bullet pointed, lightweight information. It's not reams and reams and reams of words, which no one's interested in reading.
No one's interested in
I mean,
reading, but no one's. I can't imagine anyone's interested in writing, and it's absolutely not what a founder should be doing in the first couple of months of an idea.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's the thing.
Because
Like
it
we've
just has
spoken.
no value.
Exactly. We've spoken before, haven't we, about people doing things at the start of their startups or the start of their journeys, and they think that they're starting up a business, therefore they have to do traditional business activities, which are, forecasts and P&L and, big business plan type thing, and what the next 5 years is going to look like, and registering, I don't know, like domains and company names and all that kind of stuff. Actually, like, why are you bothering? Because it might not even be a thing worth exploring, pursuing, etc. So just get your ideas down on paper. And it's a really great gap analysis tool for me. Like, what don't we know? And there are some nuances and some differences with the lean canvas versus the business model canvas, which we're going to talk through. But yeah, as long as you're using one of them, you're on the right track, in my opinion. It's getting comfortable with it, isn't it? Iterative process. And like you say, I think people look at it and go, well, okay, it's just a way of taking notes. It's just some boxes, like whatever. But actually, there's real purpose behind it. And if you use them properly, they're really effective tools.
I think that's brilliant, and I really want to get into the difference between lean canvas and business model canvas. Actually, there's a bunch of others. IDEO have one. I know
Okay.
that which is also again different, and I think there's another one by Rob Fitzpatrick, who wrote the Mum Test. He developed a
Okay.
different one again. I think Ash built on a combination of Alex's and Rob Fitzpatrick's, from what I
Oh, wow,
understand.
okay.
So it's kind of interesting how it developed. Now, if we just take a step back for a minute, I think it's maybe helpful to kind of understand what it is and when you could use it, and then perhaps we'll dissect the differences, because I think they do have slightly different intentions or audiences and ways that you can use them. Now, I'm going to read something from here, so I'm going to look this way for a minute. So, and I think this helps because I think it will help us to figure out when to use these, because I think there's multiple times that you can use these canvases. So the business model canvas is a strategic management tool and entrepreneurial tool. It allows you to describe, design, challenge, invent, and pivot your business models. So straight away, there's 5 different things that you can be doing with a business model canvas, or indeed a lean canvas. I think they're very similar. I tend to agree that the business model canvas is perhaps a bit more suited. I think it can be used perfectly fine and perfectly well with startups, but
Yep.
it's more suited and definitely works with a larger enterprise, an established business, where I think lean canvas is probably not used so much. I think business model canvas, if anything, may be a bit more flexible, but actually I really like the way that Ash built on the business model canvas, specifically for early stage startups.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to break down those 5 different areas, because I think actually it kind of, or not break down, I think I want to identify what this means from an enterprise perspective particularly. So big business, corporates, the corporate world. The first thing that you're able to do with the business model canvas is basically map your existing business. And this is exactly what I did for Strategizer, AJ and Smart. I've got some, I think, fucking wicked ones coming that I cannot wait to launch. There's going to be a really good one next week, which is very apposite, very timely,
Ooh,
hopefully.
okay.
So that's
Awesome.
all I'm going to say. You can check
I'm
that, by
sure
the
we.
way, by going to this link up here and heading to my other YouTube channel. Sponsored by this show is sponsored by the Spen Ads Show. So mapping your existing business, exactly what I did. I did it retrospectively as guesswork, actually, around these two businesses based on everything that's publicly available for them. So a lot of research going in to try and figure out what makes, how they operate, what their products are, what the propositions are, and those kinds of things. And it wasn't actually how necessarily they operated and how they designed it, is my interpretation of it. But what this enables you to do for your own business, if you've got something that's established, is it means that you can describe and tell the story of your business. Now, a friend of ours, Nick Himovich, who actually works for Strategizer now and works very closely with Alex, when I worked with him about 10 years ago at a company that very sadly actually last week officially signed for voluntary liquidation. So it's super sad.
Oh, no.
But a company that we worked with or worked for a long time called Freeformers, for every new joiner, he decided to show them the business model canvas, and he did it live with them. He said, right, this is how Freeformers operates. And they did a full business model canvas for Freeformers, which was amazing because although it was a startup, it was actually a really complex business, and the model was quite complex and quite unique. So people that were there for 6 months, when he came and he did that, they were like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that's what this company did. And this was like a team of 30 people, so we should absolutely have understood what the business was doing. But I don't think that's a unique situation. I think there are so many people that just don't get how the business actually operates. Now, once you map
the
it,
why,
and
isn't it? It's the why behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Really important.
And once you start off and you map and you're able to describe and tell the story of your business, then you can start to identify and challenge certain areas of the business as well. And this, I think, is why, for me, we'll come back to this, but why the business model canvas is better in an enterprise situation or an established business situation, because there are some of the boxes that are missing from the lean canvas, or that aren't on the lean canvas, which are more about the internal workings, things like activities and key resources, and partners, for example. Partners was taken out, partnerships. Now, for some businesses, that doesn't matter, but it might be that there's opportunities to establish partnerships that can take your business in a completely different direction. And that's what happened with AJ and Smart. They established a partnership with Jake Knapp, and that meant that they could scale completely and get this and dominate this world of design sprints. Without that focus on key partnerships, they might not have been able to do it. I mean, they didn't use the business model canvas, as it turns out, but it would have enabled them to think about it because of being able to challenge. So that's the first thing: mapping, telling the story, and then seeing where you can challenge it and see where the opportunities are. Now, the next part is about designing new business models. So at this point, you could identify the challenging areas or challenge those parts of a business model, and then you can invent brand new business models that you think you have where there is a weakness. And this could be basically creating a brand new business model for an existing company. It could be that spin out, spin in kind of innovation. You could basically be working as a startup, but with a completely new venture, completely new proposition. Equally, instead of it being like a radical invention of a new business model, you could pivot your existing model. So you might decide you want to make more efficiencies. And actually, if you work a lot on the left-hand side of the business model, which is about key activities, resources, partnerships, you might figure out, actually, if we shifted our operational model, our employment model, from people working with us to a freelance model, actually we could save money or we could get expertise. And that shift is something, that internal shift is something that you could start to pivot on. Equally, you could start to pivot on new propositions, etc., as I've talked about. And the final thing is about managing a portfolio of businesses. And this is where you get into this world of the explore and exploit mode of operation for different business models within a big umbrella company. So I know this is a lot. This is a lot, right? I know that. But bear with me. If we have some business models that are about things are going well, we've already established product market fit, we now need to grow. You know that point of growth on a startup world? Well, that's kind of the exploit mode. And I mean this exploit as in exploiting the opportunity, not taking the piss and exploiting people or whatever. It's about exploiting a possibility, an opportunity.
Yeah.
Although there are some companies that do both, and we won't name any of those, Amazon.
You leave Uncle Jeff alone.
What would I do without him?
I really don't know. Like I mean, we must have someone come from Amazon at least 5 times a week in our house. It's quite terrifying.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's scary, isn't it? Well, fair play. They're doing
horrible.
well. And most of our businesses operate on Amazon Web Services and whatever else as well. Crazy. Explore and exploit. So you might have certain business models that are in exploit mode, and equally there's still a cycle that goes on inside exploit mode where you're still pivoting and improving the business models. But then you also have other business models, other products, other value propositions that you're going through the kind of lean cycle, the build, measure, learn, or as I prefer, the learn, build, measure cycle, to kind of try and figure out what's going to work, and you're doing all those experiments. So that was a long diatribe of the business model and where you can use it across multiple areas of a business. I don't think I've ever seen anyone tell the story of a business model like I did with Nick when he was at Freeformers. And I think that's an amazing, easy thing that anybody could be able to do.
Definitely. It is a lovely storytelling device. Like you're totally right. You can just lead someone through it and it's kind of like, oh, okay. Because that's the thing, especially when you're onboarded to a new organization, that there's so much information. But if you just have that as almost like a crib sheet, it's something to take away, but you know the story behind it. Yeah, really powerful.
Super powerful. Should we talk about which is best? The business model wars, the canvas wars.
Face-off time.
I mean, I've basically
Let's
I've put my
rumble.
stake in the ground. I've said this is what I believe. All right, there's this other thing, sure, but go on, your turn. Hit me.
Maybe I'm naive just because it's the one I go to. I'm a simple creature. No, I think that they're really powerful. Well, I know. So when I'm down with the incubator down in London, the Block Dojo, we go through them, and it's one of the main things I teach.
That was like
Again,
when I'm down with the kids, or like when I'm down. It was just all. It's just When that's how I roll.
You know, I'm hanging out, these people building metaverses and all that kind of stuff. I get them to write stuff down on a piece of paper and drag them backwards. Come back to the 80s. Here's some paper. No, we use Miro. It's all very high tech. But I talk, that's a large part of it. You know, I talk them through the importance of these things, and you know, having these tools that are living documents that you take through the journey with you. And as I mentioned, like, you know, even just a case of when they use it during like mentor weeks, so they can sit down and talk to people about it. They know the key information when they have an opportunity. So we talk about elevator pitches, for example, and it needs to be a case of you need to be able to relay information, key information to people and capture their interest. I was at a thing last night in Liverpool, on the startup scene, which is probably why I'm a little bit like this morning. The red wine again, but for a different purpose this time.
God, there's a theme.
I know, there really is. But it was all about kind of like businesses to watch. So the ones that are doing really, really well in this year, and then the ones to be on the watch for. And it was really interesting because they had this short list. And I was sat there talking to another founder, and I was like, I feel like I'm awash with these things, because it's like, you know, everyone had a wacky name, and then it was like, you know, it's this, and I'm like, I'm so like, I want to know the problem, and I want to know who it's addressing. And even when I was talking to founders in the room about their startups, I was like, so who's it specifically for, and what's the problem they face? And they're like, that's a very direct question. And I was like, but that's how my brain works. Like, I want to know that there is a purpose for things. I get behind things that, you know, I'm problem orientated. And I think it's a really important approach, especially in startup work, because there's so much going on. And if you don't find that niche of people that really need it, it's really hard to get traction initially. So having this tool that is, you know, so the slight differences on the lean canvas. So we've got problem, you know, top 3 things that person, that persona type is facing. And you can do different canvases for different personas. So you got the problem, you got the solution. So what are the top 3 features, which, hopefully we were speaking about this earlier, you'll have worked that synergy out through using a value proposition canvas, which is a whole other session to talk through. But making sure actually you're putting in the features of your tool actually address the problems at hand, and not that they're just cool things to add in. Your MVP needs to really hit that problem hard and solve it, and anything else is fluff, really. You've got the unique value proposition. So what's the clear, compelling reason for its existence? Not just a case of, well, this AI exists, therefore we built this thing. I want to know the why behind it. The unfair advantage, this is one that people really struggle with whenever I'm speaking to them. And unsurprisingly, because, the textbooks say, well, this should be, the unfair advantage is I'm working with, I don't know, like a world leader in this field of medical research, or I'm best mates with Bill Gates. And it just isn't. It might be a case of you've worked in the field for a decade and you're really close to it, or I don't know, that you have some kind of insight that no one else has, or you have access to a tool that no one else has. Sometimes it can be as simple as the fact that you've got, say, an open banking license. That, in terms of like Porter's, is it Porter's 5 forces? But about what are the hurdles that other people have to get to the same point that you are at? Well, you've got an unfair advantage that other people do in open banking. If you've got an open banking license, because you're so far further on the journey, you might still not have your thing absolutely nailed on and have your product as it needs to be, or quite hitting that value proposition right, but it doesn't matter because you're further along in the process. So that is an unfair advantage. Then you've got your customer segments.
By the way, I think when I did a lot, although I work mostly with big companies now, I did a lot of coaching with startups a good few years ago, and I long felt that the addition of the unique firstly, unique value proposition and that slight change of language, but also the unfair advantage was brilliant. What I think Alex Osterwalder would say here is that the other boxes on the business model canvas should highlight those, but pulling it out explicitly, I think, can really help. So it's not that we want to change or morph any of these things, and that's probably not a good thing to be suggesting, but I think if either one of these that you're using, you want to be saying what the uniqueness about your thing is and what's different about it, and why you're in an amazing position to be able to carry out and execute this. And so I think it's a really good thing to be explicit about. And it's probably lacking in most people's application of the business model canvas. They don't necessarily think about that question because it's not there explicitly. So I think it's a really interesting point.
No, completely agree. Then other bits are you've got. Then these are more the kind of the classic things. So customer segments, who are you targeting? What's your cost structure? So what are you going to be spending money on? And that helps you when you understand these things. You understand how much money you need to raise or what price point you need to sell it at. Because again, it's this balance of what will people pay and find value at, but also what do you need to cover the bills, and then what's the shortfall that you need investment for, or whatever it may be for growth example. The revenue stream, so where are you going to get that money from? Is it via partnerships? Is it direct sales? Is it, there's so many different channels to market. Also, so talking of channels, like which channels are you specifically levering? Are you going to have a reseller network? Are you going to sell directly? Are you any number of things? Again, there's lots of stuff you can read up on the different channels that you can take, and you shouldn't take too many. It's a very small box on the canvas, deliberately so, because you've only got so much time, so much resource. I mean, I'm coaching a startup at the moment, and they've had amazing success through Kickstarter. And they're looking at other options and opportunities. And we're saying, well, let's do the research on them, let's trial them, but get the metrics to understand how much your cost of acquisition is on that channel, how much it actually costs you in terms of, how much are you being charged to use that channel. So not only a case of it's advertising, but actually is the fulfillment costs associated with that thing. What's the margin associated with that point? Can you sell it for a little bit more on that channel because of convenience, for example? There's all these different things, and actually then they need to work out which are the best. It might be a case that they sell more volume via social media, for example, but actually the cost of acquisition is far higher, and they're better off selling it through a channel where they have less sales but actually higher margin, because that works better for them and it's less effort. So there's all these things, and when you understand, and another one of the boxes is key metrics, when you understand these things, then you can decide what to really throw your resource at. Because time is limited, resource is limited, especially in the stages of startup. You can't do all the things a normal company would do because you don't have leagues of people to do it. It's not just a case of the marketing team will create content for 1 billion different channels, and that's fine. It's not. You've got, either you've got to create the assets yourself, or you've got to pay someone else to do it. Time's going to be tight, budget's going to be tight, all those kind of things. So, you look at cost of acquisition, you might look at how frequently does someone utilize your tool? Because by understanding these different metrics and capturing that information, you understand if your tool's working. If it's a case of it's an app and actually you need people to be engaging multiple times a day, such as Instagram, TikTok, for example, you'd be looking at daily active users, or how many times does someone come back versus monthly active users, for example. If it's a tool where you only do it once a year, that's something completely different. It's a different metric to track. And by understanding how your tool's going to be used, then you can make sure you've got the right things in place, and make sure you're building the right analytic tracking tools into your app or whatever it may be. So that's that. Those are the blocks on the canvas. And there are subtle tweaks. Most big organizations will not be looking at key metrics and such. They wouldn't be going down to that kind of level of granularity, but it's really important in the startup world.
One thing that you talked about here, which I think is so important, is the box is small.
Yes.
So therefore you need to be concise and you need to think about one thing. But often the way to get there is to throw everything at it. So often I use the business model canvas or a lean canvas, or actually loads of canvases, truth be told, in order to get everything out.
Gotta love a canvas. You're not a true consultant if you don't love a canvas.
Give me a canvas, give me a framework, maybe even a methodology, even though most methodologies actually I think are methods, not methodologies, but let's not go down that rabbit hole. There we go. Another time maybe. Maybe we'll do an episode. My favourite methodologies that aren't really methodologies.
Was it Pedant's Corner? I think they call it. Let's get pedantic.
Exactly. Yeah. I could go down many a rabbit hole down that one. But it's about getting everything out of your head. Our brains are really good at coming up with ideas and thoughts and whatever else, but they're really shit at remembering and kind of storing it. So it needs to come out. And I think a business model canvas is great. And actually, whenever I do a business model canvas, and insider tip for any of you consultants or innovators or anything else out there that are working with clients, use it as a tool to understand the business that you're going to be working with. I do it with every business that I go into. I figure out what I think their business model is, just to go through that process of getting everything out, and then I simplify to one post-it note for each box, or try to get to one post-it note for each box. And we're getting everything out to start with, and then simplifying, refining, going through that process of sculpting it and trying to figure it all out is such a valuable part of the process as well. And the other thing that you talked about here as well is that these are all assumptions, right? Particularly with the lean canvas when you're a startup, getting it out means that you can do experiments, you can run tests. I'm not sure how it overlays with the lean canvas, but with the business model canvas, this idea of feasibility, desirability and viability overlays on top of the business model canvas. So you've got the customer segment, which is all about desirability. Who are your customers and what do they want? What are they looking for? What's the value proposition that we can serve them with? What are the internal sides of things? The feasibility. Do we have the partnerships in place? Do we have the team? Do we have the resource? Do we have the activities? Can we do all of that stuff? And then the viability. Can we make money? Can we basically, bring in more money than we have to spend it on doing this thing. So that overlays really nicely. I guess it's similar with the lean canvas. Maybe they've got usability stuff in there a little bit as well. Who knows? But yeah, probably very similar. But all of those are assumptions, right? And then they need to be tested. You need to build on those, which comes to my final point. And I remember I jumped on a LinkedIn thread recently that Melissa Perry wrote, and she is amazing. Like, I've got loads of admiration for Melissa Perry. She's a writer, but she's a product person, a UX person. She wrote a great book called The Build Trap, all about how to get out of this just cycle of non-stop building, and especially when the building of stuff isn't creating value is the particular thing. But she was writing about about canvases, and someone wrote about a business model canvas, and she said people don't realize that you need to go through 3 months of working it all out before you finish it, or before it's done. It's not a simple thing. It's actually, you go through 3 months of creating it. And my kind of argument back was like, well, yes and no, because actually it should never get finished. It should never be like the thing that is complete. It should always be a work in progress. And actually, even your first version of it is valuable. And that's the thing that you then do. You build on it time and time and time again, with new assumptions realized, with things that you've invalidated kind of being pushed aside. And then you're refining and focusing each of those 9 boxes into creating the best version of the business that you possibly can. So I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They do it once and they think it's done and never revisit. And it's something that should be a constant work in progress, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we used to use them. I used to use them to get people to map out and explain what they were proposing, and then scrutinize. Well, why are you doing that bit, or why you think you're going to be doing that bit? And this is when it's like really vapor stage. You know, people had often had some conversations, but hadn't really drilled into the detail, and that's what they would come to me for. And we would look at it and go, right, explain to me why you're suggesting you're going to do A, B, and C. What is the benefit, and how does that link back, and how does it, all tie together? And then I send them off to gain evidence of all the things, and we would iterate it through. And then it's a point where, to a certain extent, it got locked down. It's like, right, that's what we think this thing really is. Now we're going to start developing some stuff, and we're going to test it. And then when we've got it out in the marketplace, we'll learn a little bit more, and it might iterate a bit more. And it is that constant evolution. And at some point you might go, right, okay, we've been in the marketplace a while. We've got product market fit. This thing doesn't really need to change that much until we bring out something new. And yeah, I think it needs to be a reflective tool. It isn't just a case of like, oh, all right, okay, I'll do this exercise and I'll write things down and well done me, like next on the list. Make it question why you're doing the things you're doing. If they don't align or they don't make sense, when you've got it laid out on a piece of paper, you might have been talking about the fact that your tool's going to do this thing, that thing, whatever it may be, and you're going to sell it via this channel. Well, actually, if the customer segments are really interested in it, don't have the need for that bit of functionality, and they live in this channel, then why on earth are you doing that activity? Because it's not the place to be fishing for them. It all has to work beautifully, this ecosystem, and essentially tools like this help you root out things that aren't associated, aren't going to serve you well, aren't the thing to be done.
It reminded me of what you just talked about. Actually, is basically describes the business model canvas as a prototype, really, a prototype of your business. And in the same way that we might prototype an app, I think it's widely accepted that prototyping is a good thing for digital apps and digital solutions. Like, I don't think there's many people that would disagree with that these days. But yet,
no, I think they go too far with the prototyping sometimes. They can just do it like on a piece of paper. Again, I'm dragging people back. Come back to the Stone Age with me. It'll be fine, because you can achieve so much. You can draw something out, talk someone through it, rather than spending, even if it's low code, no code, whatever it may be, or even if it's just like a wireframe. It still takes time. Whereas even I'm capable of using a pen and a piece of paper. So yes, carry on. Where, I mean, it's questionable. I mean, look at these bad boys. Like, look at the state of that writing. Yeah, it's a horrible, like, goodness knows what that says. So yeah, I could have been a doctor without a shadow of a doubt.
There we go. I have nothing to say.
I don't know why I mentioned it, to be perfectly honest with you. This red wine has not served me well last night. I apologise.
Do you know what? I feel hungover, but I didn't drink, but I still feel hungover.
Wow.
Tiredness. Have you noticed? You get to an age where, like, if you're just tired, it feels like you're hungover. Is that an age thing?
All the time. Yes.
Or was it that I was always just hungover and tired? So,
probably.
Shall we sum up?
Yes, let's.
I think, how about this? Regardless of what stage you are at with your business, regardless of what position you hold within a business, regardless of what time of year it is, what quarter it is, what your financials look like, regardless of absolutely anything, I would argue that thinking about and doing some work, an investment of a bit of time into business models around your world, of your own business model, maybe even looking at other people's business models, whether that be using a lean canvas, an IDEO canvas, a business model canvas, or whatever canvas, doing that work will make you understand your own organization and the world around that organization far, far, far better than if you didn't do it. And I think it's only a good thing for absolutely anyone to do.
At this, in the current climate, you need to understand how you can grow your business or how you can save money, how you can optimize. And it just gives you that ability to know what the state of play is, what's going on, what's working for me, what's not working for me. Stuff like that's really, really key, that reflection and understanding. Our channels, not as beneficial as I thought they were, even though I get a lot of throughput. Having a look into these things, really, really important. So yeah, definitely worthwhile spending that time doing a bit of interrogation.
Amazing. And if you do like the business model canvas, particularly, in the link below, you can get my affiliate link. I'm joking. There's no affiliate.
You can look at the money you could make.
Problem is,
you'd be swimming in
canvas.
Swiss chocolate. Like, it might pay you in Swiss chocolate.
Oh, that could work.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex. Hey.
Hey. Me and Stan will get paid in chocolate from here on in. How is he, by the way? Where is the little dude? Really?
Kind of like that. Flat out. Fast asleep.
Adorable.
Yeah, he is doing very, very well. I mean, I thought it was going to be harder. No, don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't say it. No, my dogs are adorable when they were puppies. One's still adorable. The other one is a yada. But yeah, like, I don't know. You might be blessed. You might be able to work at home as a consultant and just have an adorable dog sat there and not squeak at you relentlessly like some kind of torture.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Well, we'll see. I'll keep you updated. Stan's doing very well.
Excellent. Bless him.
He's a lovely thing. He's getting big. He's growing. He's getting more dog-like rather than puppy-like, which I guess you would expect in the fact that he is becoming more like a dog. He's getting older.
It's disappointing, though, isn't it? Surely there must be, like, make him sleep in a shoebox, like, keep him small. It's like, bind him. I'm going to get reported, aren't I? It's like someone's going to come and take my dogs away from me if I keep talking like this.
Oh my goodness! There's a fine line you're stepping over. Thank you. How about, if you liked this episode, what I recommend is going and checking out one of our earlier episodes. If you haven't, go and check out the one on testing ideas and coming up with prototypes. We did an episode all about that. Business model canvas actually can lead into understanding a lot of that. Or even check out the one around that we did last week about creating a personal operating system. If you want to try and get out of that kind of overwhelm and stress, go and check that video out as well. I might even try and put one of them here or here so you can easily click on it and then go straight off to carry on with your journey with Spen and Bex.
I mean, most importantly, Stan is in the previous episode. You get to see Stan.
There's a reason. That's the reason. That's the hook.
That is the
Scratch
hook.
all that other
Always.
stuff. Do that. If you have no idea what we're talking about with Stan, go and check out the earlier video.
There you go.
Episode 6. It's about
Innovation
Stan.
in dogs. That's what we're about. Innovation in dogs.
Perfect. Thank you so much. As ever, Bex, I'm looking forward to next Friday already.
Yes, always. It's been a
If
pleasure.
anyone's got any idea about what we should talk about, tell us, because otherwise we're going to have to think about something ourselves.
That's dangerous for everyone concerned. Right, I will leave you be. Enjoy your night spots.
Bye-bye.
Bye.